There they are. There they are. Level cap. Level cap Koumei, baby.
I'm free.
Okay, before you guys start telling me why the hell would I waste my time going 8.5 hours in a solo survival just to hit level cap, this was never an original plan for this video, okay? I've got a story to tell you about this run, and it's going to get pretty silly. This was, without a doubt, the buggiest solo survival I have ever played in Warframe, but at the same time it granted us a really good look into Koumei's full potential. It was just an opportunity I couldn't pass up on. So originally I went into this survival wanting to stress test my new Koumei build. You know, just to test the waters, she's a brand new Warframe. And everything was going super smoothly early on, until eventually we ran into a few bugs along the way. Firstly, I noticed roughly about a couple of hours in that I was gaining overguard when I wasn't using my secondary fortifier arcane. Do you think that the reason I'm gaining overguard is because I'm full HP, and you know it says, okay, each have a chance for enemies to heal you upon attack instead of damaging. Do you think that if you're full HP it goes into overguard? I think that's what it's doing. I think her third gives overguard when you're at max health. Secondary fortifier. Secondary fortifier is working on my other weapons. Now I know the arcane description doesn't necessarily say secondary only damage towards overguard grants you the overguard return, but it's for your secondary, and I'm pretty sure this is only supposed to work for, in this instance, my epitaph. During this run I was gaining overguard back upon attacks from my primary, secondary and melee weapon. Basically meaning I can use whatever weapon I wanted and get my shield gate. And don't you worry, before you start calling me out saying this video is nonsense, or I don't want to watch when you basically just used a bug to get to level cap, hear me out first, okay? By the end of this run, I not only realised that my build definitely could have been more perfected, especially in terms of the shield gating, but the fact there's also plenty of secondary options to make this level of shield gating work, and still pump out a hell of damage with your secondary weapon only, whilst using secondary fortifier. I can assure you that this build is more than capable of going level cap, rather being a bit more reliant on your secondary weapon. We will cover this in the video, don't worry. Another bug I run into, which is new for this update I guess, is that it's making me double select my relics each time 5 minutes goes by. How exhilarating. In addition to this, my Nautilus Sentinel, who's obviously supposed to have infinite lives and keeps on coming back, just decided to AFK and disappear from my HUD for extended periods of the survival.
I've just noticed, where the fuck is my companion? Didn't I have a Nautilus in this mission?
He went on several vacations, fuck knows where. Either way, he was kinda useless. I'm gonna put this down to the companion rework. And don't worry, the overguard bug got even worse towards the last 20 minutes of the mission, in which, in temporary moments, I was completely immortal. I had 15k overguard and was taking 0 damage. And some other miscellaneous bugs like occasionally not being able to shoot my weapon after being in a fight with an acolyte. But despite all of these silly bugs, I think we have come out with a really solid bit of gameplay here. I want to delve into just how strong Koumei is, with and without secondary fortifier freaking out of course. I'm teaching you ways to optimize this build even more so than when I took it into the run. And fun fact, the gameplay you're seeing possesses the advantage of being in a survival, so we're able to go long enough to the point where we could get maxed out decrees.
Oh my god, chat, I have every decree. I have every decree. What? I have every single decree that is available. It says decrees exhausted, I can't get any more. 120. Dude, get out of my way. Blood rush. God. Oh my god. We peaked too soon, we're not level cap yet, we'll be fine.
Koumei has access to 120 total, and we got all of them. Going a few hours in Cascade probably wouldn't let you get that many, so what you're seeing damage wise, at least in terms of the way her decrees affect her weaponry, this is as strong as Koumei gets. Okay, so because this is the brand new Warframe, I am going to quickly cover the Warframe's abilities in detail so you guys understand what you're dealing with, and then we're going to discuss helminth. Koumei's passive is every 60 seconds, one of Koumei's weapons will inflict a random status effect for 60 seconds. You can see this icon as to which weapon is getting the status effect in your bottom right hand of your screen. Her first ability sends out threads or lines that entangle enemies, and enemies who touch these threads will suffer a random elemental status effect. Now of course, every one of Koumei's abilities can be rolled with a 666 using her passive of her die. However, this feature is very inconsistent and RNG based on the theme with her, and to be honest, it's a complete gimmick. It's very rare that you actually roll 666s on any ability cast, so don't try to rely on any of these bonuses you get, but the bonus this ability gets is a roll of 666s creates threads that inflict one of every elemental stats effect. Upon casting your 2, you'll get a challenge pop up on your screen. Once you complete this challenge, you'll get a decree for the rest of the mission, and you can stack decrees up to a total of 120. If you don't like the challenge, you can hold down the ability to cancel that challenge and wait for a new decree with a cooldown. However, each time you cancel one, this cooldown will increase up to a total of 150 seconds. And she doesn't have access to every decree in the game, but she has a very strong selection, as you can see by the gameplay. Even with a solid 20 to 30 of these, you're going to be absolutely decimating. A lot of them are very strong. A roll of 666s on her second ability grants you a decree without having to complete a challenge. This is arguably the most useful 666 roll, in my opinion. Her third ability is more defensive based. It surrounds you with charms, and these charms have a 50% chance for an enemy attack to heal you instead of damage you. So this is basically an inconsistent damage absorption. However, rolling 666 on here grants you invulnerability for its entire duration, and they made it so you can't recast this ability unless you have below 6 stacks. So that way you can't make use of this invulnerability mechanic. And I'm not kidding, I don't think I got the 666 roll on this ability throughout the entire 8.5 hour survival. Her fourth ability is basically just a way better version of the one. It strings enemies up like puppets and applies a number of random elemental stats effects based on your die roll. If you roll a 666, this effect will take place both in front and behind you, and it causes further stats effects over time. And in my honest opinion, this ability makes the first completely redundant, thus making the first ability the best choice to subsume off in my opinion. So my choice of subsume for Koumei in this run was to take off her first ability and replace it with the helminth Sickening Pulse. Now I was under the impression that her fourth ability would actually increase the stacks of every stats effect to maximum upon cast, but apparently that's not the case, but this ability solves that problem. Sickening Pulse emits a pulse that adds stacks to stats effects already afflicted on enemies. However, this doesn't include Slash, Heat and Toxin. So when you cast your fourth ability on a group of enemies and apply a bunch of different status effects, and then proceed to cast your one, you'll do a massive pulse of damage, maxing out all those stats effects you just did, including the ones from your weapons as well. Not only does this prime enemies for pretty much every condition overload mod you have on your weapons if it doesn't kill them, but I still saw this ability combo one-shotting enemies at max level. Like even within the last 5 minutes of the run, I saw a few enemies get one-shotted.
Shield gate. You're not gonna give me shield gate.
I'm telling you, once you combine every element in the game onto one target, and then all the enemies surrounding them are getting those massive gas stacks proccing off of each other, my honest opinion, this turns Koumei into the Warframe she was meant to be. It just feels right. She kind of nukes rooms left, right, center, and if they don't die, your weapons are guaranteed to deal with them because they're now all ready for condition overload. Seriously, you have to try this ability. The gameplay speaks for itself. Okay, so now you guys understand how the abilities work and what a subsume is. We're now going to play the clip from the end of the stream where I left the mission and covered not only all of the builds that I was using, but what could have been done better, what could have been changed in the build to make it work, even while our secondary fortifier isn't bugged. Because not only was this build technically a test and not fully optimized, but I noticed the areas in the build in which it could have been improved, and forgive me if I sound tired and sick because in this clip and even now I'm currently recovering from sickness. So yes, the voiceover in this segment won't sound as enthusiastic as me right now, it's less professional and it's taken from my Twitch stream. Link will be in the description by the way. If you want to come join the community, hang out, watch me play a bunch of different games, check me out. Let's cue the clip. 2 Tower Forge at Amber casting, obviously. You have to, you need these. I'm being serious. Realistically, this build would probably want to be changed a bit. I think what you get rid of, because we were bugged in that run, and we're using secondary fortifier and it was working on our primary and our melee, you'd want catalyzing shields in here, and then you'd want a different and probably better secondary to run around with and make use of all of those decrees. So what I'd recommend is removing equilibrium and replacing with 2 shards. I think it's the purple shards. You can get 2 Tower Forge purple for the equilibrium benefit. Put those on, and then instead of equilibrium, throw on catalyzing shields. we were shield getting pretty well that whole time with our abilities, but catalyzing shield is going to save you more, and it's going to, you know, make up for the loss. And you don't need Arcane Blessing either, you can get rid of that, you can put on Arcane Aegis instead. So this build wasn't even optimized properly, but if we weren't bugged out, I would recommend that setup instead. Rolling Guard would also be good, but I don't know what I'd replace. Maybe either Rolling Guard or Catalyzing Shields, one or the other, but there's nothing in here that I would replace, because it starts to fall apart. In reality, if you're going to go on a run like that, you don't need specific elements, because you're probably going to get every element for every faction from your decrees. I was running Toxin Magnetic on the Phantasma. On the Epitaph it was Viral Heat. Probably recommend maybe Gas and Cold, that also works. The Cold, good safety. You just want better influence on here. What we need to do is you probably want to build this thing for pure status and just forego the crit. You could probably get rid of Viral, you could probably get rid of these two, and then you'd want to put on the new mod Galvanized Reflex, and then where is it? Red Elementalist for status damage. So yeah, that's how we did that. So yeah, all that information is very useful in making this build work without the bug, but I missed something incredibly important, which is what secondary would I recommend that not only works well with the Arcane, but also does a bunch of damage, preferably AoE and heavily stats based, and can make great use of the decrees. My first two picks would probably be the Kuva Nu Core and the Okya Core. Both of them are very similar in their functionality to the Phantasma, and the Phantasma was going bonkers during this run. The Epitaph is viable, especially with a full build, which I wasn't even rocking a full build during this. I just had a few mods in there, so it was proccing Viral and Heat, and that's because I was formering it, so even that wasn't optimized. I probably wouldn't recommend going with an Incarn in secondary, because any time where you have to slow down to hit headshots to build up that charge could leave you vulnerable, because you preferably want to be mashing large amounts of AoE damage everywhere with your secondary, so you can keep up that overguard reliably, because of course overguarded enemies aren't guaranteed to be around almost every corner, you know, and in that moment you must use Shield Gate, which would be even more effective in your build than when it was during the run if you use something like either Rolling Guard or Catalyzing Shields. And in the run I was using Madarite for that bonus strength and casting speed. And I know the companion rework just happened, but I'm not really going to cover my Sentinel because I haven't delved into them too much yet or done any investment, so it won't be worth doing because there's no up-to-date builds there. But yes, I was using the Nautilus for grouping. And as for the playstyle, she's very simple. You want to run around, keep your 3 active. It's going to save you from several moments where you may take damage and then it's going to be rolled for a heal instead. So occasionally this is going to save you if you're maybe not paying attention to your Shield Gate with Brief Respite, or of course your Overguard from your secondary. You want to get as many decrees as possible, so keep using your 2 when you can, and then when you come to attacking the enemies, you cast your 4, then your 1, and because you're going to be doing a lot of attacks with your weapons, you could spray the enemies a little bit, maybe cast your 1, then your 4, then your 1 again. Just throwing in your attacks from your weapons randomly in this combination is completely fine, depending on whether you're doing it before or after the button combination. It doesn't really matter, you're going to do a bunch of damage anyway, and you'll see that the 4 with the 1 combination nukes enemies at exceedingly high levels, even at level cap, usually once you've got pretty much every best proc on them in the game, and they are surrounded by other enemies that can also chain off of these procs, because this also synergizes with your weaponry and the degrees that they have. So yeah, you could argue that maybe my vision is a bit askew based on the fact that this run was being used with a bug that wasn't intended to happen in the moment, and it made things very easy. But I'm just glad we got to see how powerful Koumei gets once she has 120 decrees. It's a nice feeling compared to the circuit where, you know, you go in and you get your decrees and everyone on the team is just as overpowered as each other and you're all scaling exponentially. It's fun when you first ever play it, but over time it doesn't feel rewarding because it isn't really your build that's being used, it's all based around your decrees. And this Warframe takes that mechanic that I very much enjoy, but applies it with the satisfaction of being an actual Warframe, because you are relying on your build at the end of the day, and she is specifically designed to be an endless Warframe. I'm sure you can make plenty of builds subsuming off either her 2 or her 3 as well. If you wanted to do a non-endgame build that doesn't focus on endurance, then you could get rid of the second ability and never use the decrees. But as far as I'm concerned, having a decree Warframe and that being sort of her little thing, it's extremely unique and very fun, and it does feel rewarding to use because this is the frame for the first time where each time you play in an endless mission, your experience will be different based on the order in which you get your decrees. If of course you're staying long enough to get them in an order, either way the decrees you get will make a difference in the gameplay, thus making her very fun and refreshing. And please try this helmet setup. I promise you it's way better than her original first ability. I'm not a fan of that. Maxing out all your status stacks is extremely potent. Anywho, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Be sure to like and sub if you've enjoyed. I'm going to leave you with a bit of the gameplay from the end of the run when we hit level cap. And until next time, I hope you guys have a great day. We'll be covering Nova and Caliban very soon, probably Caliban next. This update was amazing, bunch of different changes, so we got hella stuff to cover. Hope you guys enjoyed. Take care.
Why am I so slow? There they are. There they are. Level cap. Level cap Koumei, baby! After 8.5 hours?
You have collected enough reactants to open your relic.
With the buggiest arcane in the game. Carrying us to victory. Unintentionally. No, they should definitely fix secondary fortifier. It's not meant to work on every weapon. This is broken. Like, it makes sense if it only gives you the overguard from one weapon, but all your weapons, this is it's a bit much. To be fair, I think there's way better secondaries you could use for a run like this. The secondary fortifier. Like, imagine you use something like the Octacore with secondary fortifier for a run like this. The Octacore is very similar to the Phantasma, you know? That's really all you need, is just a very strong, preferably a non-incarnate secondary. I knew I was going to die there. Preferably a non-incarnate secondary, because if you have to stand there and land headshots, you're going to have some trouble. She'll go. Rufus White bugging out. And look at that, bro. It still fucking kills them. I am using a companion. I have an Nautilus on. He's just bugging out.
The longer you fight, the more
he keep disappearing throughout the run. Occasionally he just appears, and it's like, "Hi, I'm back." Hey, we take those. Yeah, this is the buggiest survival ever. 15 minutes. Oh, you guys. Hello.
It is done.
Trying to gatekeep me. Oh, look at this screen. 900 still essence. Why do I feel like that's low?
Tenno, your codex has been updated with a new quest.